Hello friends, welcome to Raja's Data Engineering. In this video, I'm going to explain Catalyst Optimizer in Spark. This is one of the common interview question for experienced professional in Spark. What is Catalyst Optimizer? Catalyst Optimizer is a Spark core component written in Scala program. In other words, Catalyst Optimizer is nothing but Scala program that is used to find out the most efficient plan to execute the data operation when we submit some user code into Spark engine. So when I say it, this optimizer is used to find out the most efficient plan, which means in order to execute particular statement or particular query, there could be multiple execution path. Let us understand that by simple example. Let's say we have employee table containing 1000 records. Out of those 1000 employee records, 10 records are for manager. And now the requirement is we need to calculate bonus only for managers out of those 1000 records. So I have written a simple query. This is our requirement. Based on that, it will calculate bonus. Bonus is 10% of the salary. That is the formula from employee, where employee type is manager, which means in this query there are two operations getting applied. One is calculation of bonus, that is 10% of salary, and it has to filter out only the records for managers. These are the two operations getting executed when we submit this piece of code. So when we submit this code, Spark execution can create multiple plans, multiple execution plan. Just for our simple understanding, I can explain two execution paths. One is, the Spark engine can calculate the bonus that is 10% of salary for all the records. That is the first step. Second, on top of that calculated bonus, it can apply filter operations to filter out only the managers, which means it will give the end result. It will contain only 10 records and bonus is also calculated. This is one approach. In other approach, first filter can be applied, which means out of 1000 records, only 10 records would be filtered out, and the bonus calculation transformation would be applied only for those 10 records. Okay, this is another approach. So which order, which execution plan Spark chooses, based on that, the performance would differ. So in our example, first, if it is going to calculate bonus for 1000 employees, this is time consuming, and unnecessarily, it is calculating bonus for 990 records, which we are not interested in. So that is why that approach, still it will give the right output, but that is not good for performance. So the right approach is first, the filter should be applied to filter out only the manager records. Then it will make the resultant data set into smallest. Okay, from 1000 records to 10 records. Now other transformations can be applied only on the 10 records. So this operation will be very quicker. So this will improve the performance. And same is applicable with Catalyst Optimizer in Spark. Catalyst Optimizer will actually check for multiple execution plans to execute one particular statement or one action in data frame. Then based on that, it will analyze the performance, and based on that, it will choose the best execution plan. Have given some areas where Catalyst Optimizer applies optimization. This is not the complete list, just for example, the few major areas I have covered here. One is predicate pushdown. When I say predicate pushdown, when we join multiple tables, based on the joining condition, it can filter out the records. So when we have multiple joining condition, first we have to apply the join, where it will reduce the number of records to the smallest. So that is a smart way. So whichever the way we have written the joining condition, but internally Catalyst Optimizer will check, and it will apply predicate pushdown, which means it will move the joining condition to top order, where it will reduce the data to smallest. Coming to projection pushdown, when we are working on employee table is containing hundreds of columns, but in our final output, we are interested in only a few columns. Then there is no point in tracking those hundreds of columns in each and every stage. So better we can drop. So that is why whichever column that is needed for our final output, only that would be considered. That is a projection pushdown. Coming to rearranging filter, let's say we are applying multiple filters in one action in data frame, or one query in SQL API. Then what happens? Spark engine, this catalyst optimizer will check which filter will remove most of the records that we are not interested in. Then it will push that filter to the top. That is, that is rearranging the filter. So why we have to do? Because in the first filter, that will eliminate most of the records which we are not interested in. Then we will get only simple data set where we can quickly apply all other transformations. Another example where we can apply optimization is regular expressions in Spark. Now, this regular expression is very costly operation in Spark, and when we submit code in any language, let it be Pyspark or Scala, what happens is, internally it will go through multiple stages, and finally it will be converted into Java bytecode, because the executor is running on JVM process. So a JVM process can work only with Java code. So finally, the code would be converted into Java. So that is the reason, if there are any regular expression in Spark, then optimizer will look for equivalent function in Java. If any functions are available, then it will start considering that function. So a regular expression would be replaced in Spark program. And another example is if else statement. If else actually containing multiple paths, based on the condition, it would choose one of the paths. So the optimizer should be smart enough to choose the right path, by eliminating undecided paths quickly. So this is also one of the area where optimization is applied by Catalyst optimizer. So this optimizer is only available for data frame and data set, not for RDD. It is very important to understand, what is the difference between these and why optimizer is not available for RDD. First, let us understand the similarity between RDD and data frame. Coming to similarity, both are same in terms of immutability. Immutability means, the source data set cannot be modified. When we apply certain transformation, it will always create new RDD or data frame, but we can never change the source data frame. And the next one is in memory. RDD and data frame both are working in memory, which means it consumes the data from the external system. Then it applies all the transformation. It is processing the data in memory. The next one, resilient. Resilient, RDD and data frame, both have adopted lazy evaluation model, which means when we apply certain transformation, the execution will not happen immediately. But when we call certain action, then it will start applying all the transformations one by one. So this is done by DAG, that is directed acyclic graph. So if there is any failure in building RDD or data frame, then there is no problem. Using the DAG, it can be built once again without any data loss. So that is why this is resilient. Coming to distributed computing, RDD and data frame both are consuming the data from external system, or it is generating the data within its environment. Then it is distributing the data in the form of partition across the node. So it is both are working in distributed computing model. So these are the similarity between RDD and data frame. And where is the difference? Data frame differs from RDD only in maintaining the structure of the underlying data, which means the data frame is containing schema where it is missing for RDD. So when we have schema for a data set, that is equivalent to one table in a database. So when we have a table in a database, performance optimization can be applied using the optimizers. It could be role-based optimizer or cost-based optimizer. Now, these are the optimizers common across all the databases. So same, when we have schema for a data set, performance can be applied, because the schema would contain the number of columns, the column name, data type, these kind of information would be readily available. So based on that, the performance can be improved. But that is missing in RDD. That is the only reason. There is no optimizer for RDD, but optimization can be applied for data frame and data set. So it's very important to understand rule-based optimizer and cost-based optimizer when we have to understand Catalyst optimizer. So these concepts are very common across all the databases. And initially, rule-based optimizer got introduced in the databases. And there were some problems or shortcomings with rule-based optimizers. Then cost-based optimizer got introduced later. So let us understand what are these. The first one, rule-based optimizer. This is nothing but when we submit a piece of code, let's say select start from employee where employee type equal to manager. This is the query. When we are submitting this query, then the execution engine will look at the predefined rules. There are already predefined set of rules written within the computing engine. So what happens is, it will refer the predefined rules. Based on that, it will create the logical plans. That is rule-based optimizer. But rule-based optimizer is not suitable for all the use cases. Let's say, there is one application which is processing only few thousands of records with the simplest transformation, and another application that is handling millions of records with complex transformation. So both use cases are different, and in this example I have given number of records and the complexity of the transformation, but actually there could be n number of, based on n number of parameters, the use cases might differ. So this rule-based optimizer will blindly follow the predefined rules. So that is not suitable for all the use cases. So that is the problem. Based on the current situation, the optimizer should look for best plan. So that is the reason cost-based optimizer got introduced. And the cost-based optimizer, it will not just blindly follow the predefined rules, but it will look at the current use case. It will refer some data that is called statistics. When I say statistics, let us consider the employee table. In the employee table, how many records are there, what is the maximum value, what is the minimum value, how many distinct values we have, how many null values we have. These kind of information, information about the data would be kept in statistics. So based on the statistics, cost-based optimizer will construct the best execution plan. That is the difference between rule-based optimizer and cost-based optimizer. And coming to catalyst optimizer, it is using both of these. It is taking the benefit of rule-based optimizer and cost-based optimizer. Now let us understand the architecture of catalyst optimizer. This architecture of catalyst optimizer, this is segregated into three categories. First one is front end. This is where we are submitting the user code, and the first phase, it is optimizer. Now this is the major area where catalyst optimizer is contributing, that is playing a key role. And finally, once the best plan is created, then that would be submitted to executor for execution to the backend. That is the last stage. Now let us understand one by one. So we can work, we can create solution, we can develop solution using data frame or SQL API. Let's say, we are using SQL API and we are submitting a query, select star from employee where employee type equal to manager. So what happens is, when we submit this code for execution to Spark engine, the first step is it will create unresolved logical plan. When I say unresolved logical plan, it will just create high level plan for the submitted code. And also, in this phase, it will just check the semantic and syntax correctness. So syntax, for each and every programming language, there would be standard syntax. We need to follow that syntax. If we are doing some mistake in the syntax, then the computing engine cannot understand what we mean. For example, in Pyspark, in order to add a new column, we have to use keyword or function with column. In case there is some typing error, then Spark engine cannot understand. So syntax should be correct. So that syntax is verified in this stage. And the next one is semantic verification. When I say semantic, here we are executing certain operations on employee table, but the employee table should have been created in this environment before executing this query. In case we are using some object in our query, but that object is not created within the environment, then it will throw error and it cannot execute. Then that is called a semantic. The object should present in the system. So these kind of parsing activities getting completed in this stage, unresolved logical plan. Once this plan is created, then it would be a logical plan would be created from unresolved logical plan. And in the logical plan, here in this stage, we the data type of the column is not derived. For example, here in the employee table, we are selecting certain columns. So the column name is known, but we don't know the column data type. So the column data type would be taken from the schema catalog. In this case, we are referring employee table. So it will refer employee schema in the catalog, and based on that, it will determine the data type. So that would be given to the next stage. In the next stage, it is called a logical plan. In the logical plan, actually, this catalyst optimizer is written in Scala program in the form of tree. Tree is nothing but it's one of the Scala data type, and each tree would contain nodes, and each node would contain 0 or more child node, and in each and every node there would be predefined rules. Okay, here in this place, a role-based optimizer plays a key role. So the based on the rule-based, not role-based, rule-based optimizer plays a key role. So rule-based optimizer uh, contains a list of predefined rules in the form of tree. In each node there would be one rule, and these rules are customized. These rules can be customized. If you want to add new rule or remove some rule, we can do. And based on that tree model, based on the predefined set of rules, logical plans would be created. In order to achieve the same result, n number of logical plans could be created. So once logical plan is created, then it would go to the next stage, that is optimized logical plan. In the optimized logical plan, um, based on the number of logical plans, it will group the activities. Related activities would be grouped as a micro patch. So for example, in order to achieve certain result, there would be many smaller steps within that, and if there are any related or relevant activities, then those activities are grouped as a micro patch. That is one operation that is done in this stage. And the second one is all the optimization techniques would be applied. That is predicate push down or projection push down, rearranging filter. These kind of optimization would be applied in this stage. Once this is done, so far the catalyst optimizer has just thought of what to do. From the query, we have to select manager records, and we need to calculate bonus. Only, so far in this stage, it has understood what to be done. So now in the coming to physical plan, the engine catalyst optimizer will start thinking how to do, which means it will start looking at the data. So this is the place where statistics comes into picture. So based on the statistics, all the logical plans, optimized logical plans would be converted into physical plan. The physical plan will contain the steps, how to interact with the data, how to process the actual data. And once the physical plan is created, then cost-based optimizer comes into picture. Cost-based optimizer will start assigning cost. It will start evaluating each physical plan, and it will start assigning cost for each model. Then based on the cost, it will decide which model is containing low cost, which means which model will take less time for execution. Then based on that cost model, it will choose the best efficient plan. Cost-based optimizer will pick the best execution query, then that would be submitted in the next stage. So in the next stage, what happens is, the best execution plan that would be converted to Java bytecode, because executor will understand only Java code, because that is run by JVM process. So in this stage, the actual code would be converted into Java bytecode. Then the Java bytecode would be submitted to executor for execution. So this is the whole whole architecture of catalyst optimizer. Now this is how the whole internal process are happening one by one when we submit some code. So when we submit some user code, what happens is, it will first create unresolved logical plan by checking semantic and syntax correctness. And in the next plan, based on the predefined set of rules, it will create multiple logical plans. And in the next step, the logical plans would be converted as optimized logical plan by applying two operations. One is grouping relevant operations and creating patches, and second one, applying all the optimization techniques such as predicate push down. And the next stage, it will start thinking how to, so far it understood what to do, and now it start thinking how to do. Then it will start creating physical plans to process the data. Then the cost model will evaluate all the physical plans, and it will calculate the cost, and based on the cost, it will choose the best efficient plan, which needs low cost. Then once the suitable physical plan is selected, then that would be converted to Java bytecode in the next stage, and finally it will be submitted to executor for execution. I hope you understood the catalyst optimizer. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, please subscribe this channel and click on the bell button. Thank you.